and a bro fist to you all, for it is once again Friday, and thankfully, for just 2 short days, I am back in the lovely United Kingdom. I'm here in England. I just got back from BlizzCon, and I slept through my stream this morning because I'm a terrible streamer, and I'm the worst person, and Emma turned off the alarm. And we didn't wake up till 11 a.m. But that's okay, because I'm about to fly out yet again to the Race to World First, where we had a little bit of a trip down memory lane today, reminding ourselves of just how awesome and how fun the raid can be, and the race is going to be extraordinary. We are joined by Newcaster Nagura this time. Not a Newcaster by any means, but a Newcaster to the Echo Squad. And I'm sure she'll be a wonderful fit with our motley crew, but it's going to be an exciting time. Stream times will not be disrupted. That is all taken care of. We will, of course, be enjoying some Final Fantasy 3 while we're there, amongst checking out some Guild Wars 2 and some other things. It's going to be a fun time. How long I'm there, I don't know. Anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 days. Hard to tell with how the race goes these days. I'll be definitely there for probably a week or so. But it's going to be an exciting time. I hope you all join us along this merry, merry journey. It's going to be super, super fun. I had a wonderful time at BlizzCon. There is a video up on the Daily Preach, which is our YouTube channel, The Daily Preach. Go talk about BlizzCon, and on our main channel will be our exact summary and interviews that I got to do while I was there. I had some wonderful chats with the top brass at Blizzard, and all that will be revealed to you in the next day or so. So it's going to be an exciting time, a very exciting time. But it's not why you're here right now. Let's have a drama time. Let's have some fun. I will pre-warn you, I will probably do drama time earlier for the next couple of weeks, because I will be in Sweden, and I have casting shifts, which usually start around drama time-ish. So we'll probably do it at like 2 p.m. or something. I haven't got my whole schedule yet, but when I have it, we'll figure it out. We'll still do drama time. It'll just be a little bit early, because I'll be on the other stream doing that cast, you know, doing those things. It's going to be a busy time, but it's going to be super fun. The story title has me intrigued, though, so I think we'll have some fun with this. The Spice Girls wiped my raid. I bet it was Jerry. It's always the ginger one. It's always the ginger one that does this. Always the ginger one. You can blame... We can 100% guarantee it was definitely the ginger one that did it. Or maybe Sporty. She's... Okay. This one requires the gavel. This is a case that requires our judgment, my friends. It requires our judgment. So raise your gavels. We will decide innocent or guilty at the end. Justice preach. Kind and generous jury of the audience, please judge my case. Back in 2010, I married my number one. The most amazing girl I had ever met in my entire life. But she was a Spice Girls fan. To describe her, she was my Chun-Li. But now I wake up each morning next to E. Honda. Now, there are many ways we could take that. There are many, many ways we could take that. But I digress. I digress. Maybe it was a rough 13 years, right? Maybe it was a rough 13 years. I don't know. This guy is already guilty. I don't know. We could maybe take it as she got angry. E-Honda is angry. Well, Chun-Li was pretty angry. I don't know. Anyway, let's push on. Guilty. Spice Girls fandom was literally 90% of my wife's personality when we met in 2010. When did the Spice Girls break up? Didn't they break up in like 1999 or something? 2010 and still keeping that dream alive. Holy shit, okay. I sat through so many dinner parties, Preacher, where she and her friends debated endlessly about which Spice Girl they closely resembled. My wife decided that she was Asian Baby Spice. She even did her hair to look like her. Okay. I do not want to attend these dinner parties. This sounds horrible. This sounds absolutely horrible. There were reunions. There were reunions. They're coming back. At our wedding, she insisted... Okay, all right. She insisted... I'm putting this to the chat. that our first dance to be to? Which Spice Girls song did she insist that they have their first dance to as a married couple? Wow, that was really easy for the chat. That was crazy easy. Yes, to become one. I apologized in advance to my family that this was going to happen. But I will say this. This was 13 years ago. And I would say that now she is 5% spicy at most. God bless. She has become rather more sophisticated in her middle age, expanding her taste to BTS and Blackpink. All right, I'm a boomer. I'm going to have to Google. BTS, what is that? BTS appears to be K-pop. Am I right? Hang on, there's a description. BTS, also known as the Bangtan Boys, is a South Korean boy band formed in 2010. The band consists of Jin, Sugar, J-Hope, RM, Jimin, V, and Jungkook. And who is Blackpink? Blackpink. Blackpink is... looks like a girl K-pop band. Blackpink is a South Korean girl group formed by YG Entertainment, consisting of Jisoo, Jennie, Rose, and Lisa, dubbed the biggest girl group in the world. All right. So I get the theme that we're going for here. And I get the theme. This is very manufactured K-pop music. Okay, got it. However, girl power always lurks beneath her surface. It bursts through spectacularly in the car whenever we're listening to her playlist. Oh, fuck that. Fuck that. Oh my god. Fuck that. I am not listening to K-pop in the car. No way. Can we slap some Metallica on? She bounces and jiggles in the passenger seat, E-Honda style. Dude, you've got to stop. I assume your lovely wife does not watch Drama Time. I'm getting the hint that your wife does not watch Drama Time. And when the chorus hits, she does all the actions in the car. Okay. If you don't know the song Stop very well, I don't, there's a set of simple hand and arm actions the girls always do at concerts along with the chorus. Learning those moves was the smartest things I ever did while dating to win her heart. Oh, bro, you had it rough. I mean, I took Emma to a Ronan Keating concert. I wanted to die. I actually wanted to die. I totally wanted to die. Every time I joined her in the dance and busted them out, I knew that night would end with some sex. Fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. Yeah, instant. Nothing gets a girl hotter than some K-pop dance moves, man. Nothing gets them going. But I haven't needed to do that in years, and I don't do them while driving. Smart. Smart move. Smart move. It was December 2022. I was rocking Classic Wrath World of Warcraft, and my Classic Wrath guild was working on the ultimate achievement, the Immortal. Old. Imagine not having it from years ago. Pussy. I played myself a hunter, and 3 weeks earlier we had failed on the 4 horsemen when the rogue didn't realize that Sazeliek melees anything in range when not tanked. 2 weeks earlier we failed when a paladin accidentally DI'd a warlock on Thaddeus. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. To be fair, I got my Immortal, and then just before the end of Wrath of the Lich King, one of our guildies who wasn't with us at the time was like, please, can we go and do Immortal? So we were like, sure, because we're overgeared as fuck. You can't even guess which boss we failed the Immortal on. I could give you all day, and you would not guess which boss we failed Immortal on. It's so, so sad. Not Kel'Thuzad, not Gluth, not Lower Theb, no, not Patchwork, not Mexina, no, not Noth. See, you can't guess it. It's so sad. It's so sad. Resuvius, nope. We did Resuvius, we did fine. Thaddeus, nope. Slimaze, nope. Syndragosa, Saf, nope. Hygen, nope. We did Hygen just fine. We did it all fine. It was Grand Widow Fairlina and her ads. And you know why? He taunted the boss in his nerves. He taunted her and died. The guy we were doing it for taunted the boss and died in a panic. He was playing a Death Knight. Because the way we did Immortal is you do all the hard bosses first. So we did like Saf and Kel'Thuzad or whatever. We did all the harder wings first. Make sure you do fucking the mind control boss. And then on that boss, he was so nervous that he accidentally pressed taunt and fucking killed himself. And then I refused to go back. I was like, I'm not going, dude. No way. No way. It's too stressful. The previous week, we had some kind of total breakdown on a new Barak and wiped. How in the fuck did you die on a new Barak in Wrath of the Lich King? What? I mean, isn't that almost impossible? But the week before Christmas, everything went fantastic. We cleared all 4 wings, no deaths. We crushed Sapphiron. We killed Katie's abominations. Oh, was it the Fisher? And ghosts and skeletons and engaged the big lich himself. And I'm sorry to say to all the listeners that it was me. It was I. I stood in a Shadow Fisher and got one shot. The only message the raid leader said was, you better be fucking feigning death. In my panic, but obviously they could see I was dead, I said, no. The whole game stopped. I must be lagging. Sorry, guys. Classic. Classic. Yes. Yes, the game froze. It was the game, man. The game froze. That was, yeah, absolute classic. But as you can probably tell, Preacher, and I tell you all here today, I wasn't lagging. I could see I was dead. And why did it happen? Well, my PC is in a little room office near my wife's sewing room. You're blaming your wife? She was sewing in the sewing room, listening to the Spice World CD, and track 2 of that album is Stop. Right in the middle of Kel'Thuzad fight on the cusp of immortality, I took my hands off the keyboard and did the actions to the song. She couldn't even see me doing it. I was all alone in my little office as a 41-year-old bearded man. That's upsetting. That's deeply, deeply upsetting. But I'm glad you told us. Yes, Preacher. And yes, Jury. This is very embarrassing. And I'm glad my wife does not watch Drama Time. There it is. Yes, I cost my guild the achievement. But in my defense, I was overwhelmed with the urge to boogie along to an infectious 90s mega hit. It could happen to anybody. And also, the chances of Shadow Fisher spawning on me during those 10 to 15 seconds were really, really low. So am I truly guilty? Also, fingers crossed that not only my wife, but no one in my guild watches Drama Time. Thanks. Guilty as a motherfucker. Really? Super guilty. Super guilty. Are you fucking kidding me? Giga guilty. Like, turbo guilty. Are you joking? Oh my god, I would have killed you. I really hope your guild does watch the show. I really do hope the guild does watch the show, because you should be clowned on for the rest of time. You should be absolutely clowned on for the rest of time for this betrayal. You can't focus up. How long does Kel'Thuzad live in Wrath Classic? Like 5 fucking seconds or something? That fight must be giga melted. There is no fucking way that you can't just focus up for like 2 minutes. Alright. God is watching. Oh, Jesus Christ. You gotta do... He said he was through the ad phase. He was through the ad phase. They were actually just killing the boss. Okay, God is watching. Concern. Yes, God is watching. All right. And if you have a story to share with us, make sure you get them into drama@preachgaming.com. We would love to hear your stories. We're not trying to embarrass you. You're embarrassing yourself. It's all good. Mike and chat. I used to watch and listen to drama on YouTube years ago after I found your Road to Rank 1 video. And about a year ago, I discovered that you were on Spotify, and now I have a weekly story to look forward to when I have the time. That's right, we're on all the podcast networks. Like most of the stories submitted to the show, I had this one in my mental bank for over 12 years. And I wanted to share it with you, and as a father of 2 amazing little girls, a husband and a business owner, I find it difficult to find the time to sit down and write to you. Since I have a random free day, I was able to make breakfast for the kids, send them off to school, stick some tunes on, and type this out for you. And I hope all of you enjoy my tale. I am now 30 years old. And like most of the guys in the early days of online gaming, I too was busy owning people and poning noobs on Xbox. On titles such as Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty, all the classics. Not Call of Duty 3 though, the new one. Very bad. Very, very sad. Very upsetting. However, I was the biggest fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So once my vacation to my family's place in Texas, I am from the Great Lakes states of Michigan, I was looking over my cousin's shoulder as she casted away with a female human shadow priest in a dungeon. It was amazing. My mind was blown. To me, that this game that I had seen on so many goofy ads on either TV or online was actually this fucking cool. She would explain to me the holy trinity of tanks, DPS, and healers, and I knew I needed to be involved. She let me play on her lower level character through the dead mines, and I was immediately hooked. As soon as I got home, I asked my parents to take me to buy a copy of the game. They said yes. At the store, the salesman insisted that I not only needed the game, but the latest expansion pack, which was Wrath of the Lich King at the time. My mother thought he was trying to upsell me, but I didn't care. Now, about my PC at the time. We, of course, had the classic red flag, my friends. The shared family PC. That was used for things like homework, downloading songs to burn to CDs from LimeWire, surf the web, and for me, primarily, was my one-way ticket to MySpace. However, I was not in the know of what minimum required specs were to run computer games because my Xbox just met all my needs. 24 hours it took to install the game. And during that time, to read the game manual. It had a brief explanation of every class. Oh, and it's dead accurate. Yeah. You could trust the WoW manual to have good, accurate descriptions. And I read it all thoroughly to make sure I was choosing the correct class for me. I stumbled, of course, across the Paladin and figured that it was basically a warrior and healer mashed together, which meant I could never die. And I would be able to solo the entire game on what was clearly an overpowered class. It went on and on about buffs, but I didn't know what that was. All I knew is that you were a moron if you would play just a healer or just a warrior, when a paladin just did it all. Once I got go into the game, I got between 1 to 5 FPS. I thought the game was bugged or broken, so I called a friend who knew about pewters, and he actually had some spare RAM for my computer, which took me from 256 megabits of RAM, hold on to your nuts, try not to get pregnant, to a whopping 512 megabits of RAM. Now, I could game. Now, I was ready. I was able to game hard as long as I stayed away from any cities. I created myself the God-fearing hero, male human paladin. Male human paladin. And got to going. I didn't leave Northshire for the longest time because as soon as I did, a level 5 or 6 spider would kill me. So I figured that those areas were for the high-level players. Smart. I would learn the game in the starter zone until level 10 or something via grinding the Defias, which I could easily kill. What an experience. What a fun experience. This is your first, like, few hours of the game. Enjoyable. Whoa. This is sick. I'm taking down the pirates. Live to win, baby. Live to win. I watched a player that would attack mobs and his pet would help him by blasting fireballs at them. I thought there must be a quest or a vendor so I could get pets too that would help me, and that must be why I was dying. It was clearly what I was doing wrong, is not outfitting my class with these minions that would do damage for me. So, I sent him a message in the pink. My friend, which vendor do I travel to acquire one of these pets? How will I learn? It took about a minute or two for him to reply. But he sent me one word. Warlock. When I tried to reply to him, he had put me on ignore. Nice. Classic WoW player in a nutshell, right? Oh, fuck me, it's a noob. Oh, Jesus Christ. I figured that he was a role player, and therefore he wouldn't want to talk out of character. Eventually, I found myself a little hut outside of Northshire and saw an NPC that would sell me a cat, and it was 10 silver. I ran back to start grinding away on those Defias brothers, and since they only dropped a few copper, it was going to be a hell of an adventure to get my pet. 5 hours later, I had amassed myself 10 silver coins. You close the door, guys, when you go out. I ran straight back to the vendor and purchased myself my vicious cat to attack the enemies. To my disappointment, my cat didn't attack anything at all. I figured that it must be an RNG attack command, and I couldn't be bothered to grind for a chance at a better cat, so I decided I would just hope that eventually he would do his thing. It was time for me, my friends, to travel to Goldshire. On my way there, I was starstruck by the gear on some of the players running around and thought that having shoulders equipped was one of the biggest milestones one could achieve in this game. I didn't have a clue where to go. So I spent a lot of time standing around Goldshire chatting with people for clues on where to get myself some gear and shoulders. But most people just ignored me. I did meet somebody named Porridge, though. He was also new to the game and explained that he had met a guy who taught him how to make easy gold. A surefire way of filling my pockets with the riches of this world. How? Begging, he replied. He said he had been told it was standard fare for new players to roleplay essentially as beggars on the street in order to increase their power and worthiness within the world of Azeroth. And so I joined him in what I truly believed at the time was standard gaming approach. I roleplayed as a beggar for about an hour. Until he ran at me, opened a trade window, and gave me 50 silver. I was in awe. It had just taken me nearly 4 hours to acquire 10 silver, and now in just an hour I had 5 times as much. I was in awe. He told me that some guy had offered him 1 gold if he promised to stop spamming. He explained with all this money that I could get shoulders on the auction house. I told him I couldn't do that. That it was impossible. My computer won't let me go into a city. And I couldn't find anywhere inside the city because of the lag. Okay. He said, we got this, bro. What a friend, right? Porridge is actually a real friend. I like this guy. He told me to put him on follow, and he walked me to the auction house, even with my PC lagging hardcore. It must have taken us 15 to 20 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And once there, I saw that I couldn't afford shoulders. And the level requirement's too high. But there they were. There they were. I found the grunts pauldrons of the bear. I could wear them and I could afford them. I proudly stood in Goldshire for longer than I care to admit to your audience, wearing my shoulders so that everybody could see. Now, Preacher, for this next part, I don't require the judgment or the jury. I know what I did was guilty. I look back now as I type this to you and I see what I did, and honestly, I was a teenager. And I still find it funny to this day. You alright, wifey? Everything okay? No, you had it. No, I don't know. Did he close the door when you go out, though? Years went on, and after graduating high school, I went to university to continue my studies. Porridge lived in Colorado, but our schedules synced really well to continue to game together. Porridge, however, has an atrociously short attention span. He was TikTok before TikTok existed, and he would constantly want to roll new characters. On top of that, with Cataclysm being released with raids much more difficult than my casual ass wanted to invest into, and with school and everything else going on, I decided that my goal in World of Warcraft would to be a twink PvPer. And lock myself to level 24. Gross. Absolutely gross. PvP twinks make me sick. They really do. They really do. This way, he could jump from one character to the other, and those weren't too time-consuming to grind to gear, mainly wearing heirlooms and one-off BIS gear from easy dungeons. At the time, World of Warcraft was free to play up to level 20. So the 20 to 24 twink bracket was extreme. Oh my god, you're playing with all the pores? Oh my god. You're playing with all the free-to-play pores? You're twinking with pores? Oh my god. I didn't even know this scene existed. Oh my, that's disgusting. It was a clusterfuck, I bet it was. Oh man. I was a decent player in Porridge. Well, he was fun to play with. Lol. He would hop on Skype and run BGs in our spare time while messing around outside of Goldshire, usually dueling people while waiting for queues to pop. But this is where we met Kennethal. Kennethal watched us ride around our mounts and asked where he could get one. We were on those cool Draenei elephant ones. No motherfucker in history has ever described the Draenei mount as cool. It's disgusting and gross. And you are poor. Okay? It's fucking awful. We quickly realized he was actually very new to the game and thought, maybe we can troll him a bit, just for shits and giggles. I replied in game that there is a thing about low drop rates and that specific bosses dropped some mounts. But, I explained to him, he was in luck. That the boss that had a 0.001% drop chance on this cool elephant mount was the leader of the Defias, whose head you had to retrieve from a quest in Northshire. I showed him where he was and told him that Porridge and I had ground this mount out for months, and we had some of the rarest mounts in the game, and he could have one too, if he was good enough and determined enough to plow on. Such a son of a bitch. He bought the story as it all, of course, made sense in an RPG and began camping him, which I'm sure all the lower levels just getting into the starter zone loved as he was tagging the mob while they were trying to do their quest. Days went by. Days. And we ran across Kennethal again while waiting in our usual battleground queues to pop. Had any luck, mate? Not yet. But he wanted to prove that he was a serious World of Warcraft gamer, and he would keep grinding to show his dad how cool he was. I wanted more information on this situation and to keep the joke going, so I added him to our Skype call, and that's where we learned that Kennethal was around 8 years old. and was a really nice kid. He told us that he was only allowed to play for short times on his dad's account, and his dad didn't have that mount that we had shown him. And he was going to go out of his way to surprise his dad with a shiny new mount. Now I feel really sad. You are guilty as a motherfucker. You are so guilty. Please, I don't know where this goes, but please tell me you told him the truth. Please, dude. His dad was a Horde player, but Kenethal didn't like the look of any of the Horde characters and felt more comfortable with the Alliance. He would grind that same mob over and over again as we talked in Skype. And Porridge would yell and rage if he got killed in the BGs. Eventually, Kenethal said if Porridge could watch his language because his dad would be home soon and would not be happy that his newfound friends were cussers. His father had a zero cuss tolerance in the house. To be fair, that's the way I am with my kids. If I hear any of their friends cussing, that's not happening. Those motherfucking cunt bastards. There's no room for fucking swearing in this house. Do you know what I mean? There's no cussing allowed. It's not happening. There's no cussing allowed in this house. Of course, Porridge being Porridge, as soon as his dad walked in, Porridge started yelling profanity, every profanity in the book, as any sane parent would. As any sane parent would, he pulled the plug on a Skype call with us. We honestly thought that was the end of the story with Kenethal and his father, but Kenethal would sometimes sneak into Skype with us from time to time when his parents weren't around. He said we were his only World of Warcraft friends. My heart is breaking for this kid. My heart is genuinely breaking for this kid. This is really, really sad, man. And is he still grinding this fucking mob? He was still always grinding that mob, and he would explain that he thought World of Warcraft wasn't a fun game because of how he was playing it. But doing something nice for his dad and getting to hang out with people online made it kind of fun. Not long after, on one occasion again, Kenethal's dad walked in and Porridge was swearing in a BG. The dad cancelled the call, but this time he rang us back within minutes. We answered, expecting Kenethal to be upset with Porridge about the whole thing, but no, it was his dad. Uh-oh. Now, as a father of two, I would definitely step in if there were ever a similar situation with one of my kids, but this dad went ballistic. He called us all sorts of stuff and just generally went on a rampage about the whole thing about corrupting his young child. He threatened to call the police on us and just on with fury. Now, I didn't appreciate this, but stayed silent and tossed in apologies in the small gaps of silence that the dad left. Porridge, though, didn't give a fuck. I decided that this was funny and went toe-to-toe with the dad, adding fuel to this man's fire. He said he was a pussy little bitch, and he needs to stop letting his kid not be open to the world and how it really is. Jesus Christ. I would like to say that none of my raid friends would have absolutely done this, but my bald, fat, and ugly would have responded in the exact same way, honestly. I could just see this guy trying to tell Loz to watch his language. I really would have liked to have seen that. After this incident, we would see Kenethal online, but never in Skype anymore. Because of Skype, Kenethal's dad had taken down my full legal name. Oh no. Oh, bummer. I assumed to call authorities had anything ever escalated past that conversation. I didn't think anything of it, and Thanksgiving holidays were around the corner, so I made the 8-hour drive back home to enjoy time with friends and family. While home, I went to church with my mother, as we always would do on Sundays. But when Mass was coming to an end, the father took the time to explain how online platforms can be a dangerous place for minors. He then said, no way. He then said something along the lines about stopping ourselves before doing something regrettable against helpless minors. This man then looked, and I swear to you, preach, pointed and spoke directly to me in front of the entire church and said that he knew I was a good kid and that God is always watching me, even in my online privacy. Holy shit. Holy shit. My mother was visibly confused, and the entire church was looking in my direction, and having realized what happened, I kind of laughed. No one else laughed. But I would never have thought this crazy-ass dad would not only hunt me down on Facebook, find my church, I would share church events and going on fairly often, and reach out about his concerns as a fellow Christian about my sins with his son to see if my pastor could talk some sense into me. Oh no. He called Jesus! He called Jesus! He fucking called Jesus through Facebook! He used the Zuckerberg hotline to call Jesus on you! Holy fuck that. Jesus to the rescue! I'm calling God! Oh no! I told Porridge about the incident and he thought it was hysterical and asked if I planned on reaching out or getting back to the dad, and I did! I called him to apologize and told him that the pastor had let me know about his concerns. When I got back to school, I saw Kenneth was online. He refused to Skype with me until I assured him that Porridge would not join the call. We talked for a bit and expressed my deepest sorries about the whole situation and how Porridge was in the wrong for upsetting his father. I then offered to make it up for him. You see, Kenneth had told us how his dad was the GM of a guild and had been since the Burning Crusade. So I told Kenneth that we've been messing with him and that the mount dropping, and about the mount dropping, and it wasn't true. And that as a real friend, I would gladly get him the mount myself. After hearing my confession, he was relieved, as he was very sure that his dad would forget about the whole thing if he got a nice new mount. I hate what I've just read. Oh, Bex, this is horrible. I swear to you all, I hope this ends wholesomely. Alright, here we go. I convinced Kenneth to give me his dad's login information and told him definitely do not tell his father because it would ruin the surprise. I don't know where this goes from here. I really don't know where this goes from here. I'm so scared. I quickly called Porridge and he got on right away to see what was about to unfold. I logged into the account and sure as shit, there it was, a whole guild to myself. I had planned to just remove all the gear and kill his character in the middle of nowhere for calling my church. I mean, fuck that guy. Really? Fuck that guy. Really? Really? I emptied the guild bank of anything valuable and all the gold, and I stripped his character of all his gear and left him an in-game message. God does not exist in Azeroth. He is in your heart. Go spend better quality time with your son and remember that God is watching. I thought to delete his character, but left that alone. My finale to this tale, my friends. Kenneth never logged in again, and we never heard from them. The end. I feel so empty inside. I feel like I need to go to church myself. Redemption? That poor kid did nothing. His entire World of Warcraft experience was meeting a couple of bros that he thought were bros and trying to get a present for his father. And all this happened to him. Guilty. That's not redemption. I know. He taught that kid a lesson. What? He taught him a lesson. Are you trolling? It's awful. Oh my god. And now my kids want to play Overwatch, and this is what exists in there. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Right, one more for the day that'll hopefully wash the taste of God out of our mouths. The vicissitudes. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my. Okay, we're going to South America. An Argentinian. An Argentinian private server. How? Okay, that title is way too long. Let's call it that. There we go. Let's call it that. That is too long. All right, our names for today. And if you want your David Drama Time, you can support us on the website, which keeps the shows going. And your names will be part of our story. Case Cage, Nautilus. Night Scion. And, of course, the one and only Fartles. Wonderful name, Fartles. Greetings, the lovely Lady Bex, Mike, and the wonderful audience. I am writing to you from South America, baby, Team Argentina. Although I wasn't born here, but I've been living in this country since I was 5 years old when my family decided to emigrate from Eastern Europe because of the shit show that was going on after the fall of the Soviet Union. Yeah, well, I moved across Manchester, so there's that. I want to share with you an anthology of short but notorious events that happened in a very specific and unrepeatable microcosmos. It is not only an Argentinian-specific private server, but it is a server that I'm sure many of you audiences have played before, Lineage 2, where the combination of nerd culture, the innocence of a group of teenagers, and the local culture generated the weirdest shit you've ever seen in the online community. I have never played Lineage 2. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Let me give you guys some context. I was always a nerd, born and raised in the nerd light, in the same sense that all of the present people are. My dad, of course, gifted me a copy of Warcraft 2 when I was 6 years old. I grew up with Tomb Raider, Transformers, Legos, and encyclopedias. And even though I ended up being an extrovert, for a long time during my troubled teenage years, I was shy and relied on escapism. During high school, I was lucky enough to meet some bros that would end up being my best friends. We shared some interests, and video games, of course, was one of them. Now, I knew about World of Warcraft, but the amount of dollary-doos needed to pay a sub for a school student in Argentina, absolutely not happening. At the times I tried looking for a private server, I'd only find the trash ones that lasted a couple of weeks. The idea of playing an MMO, though, was like an unobtainable dream. At the time, we either had very bad internet or no internet at all at home, so if we wanted to play anything online, mostly Counter-Strike, Age of Empires, or Warcraft 3, we would go to internet cafes. And for a time, those places were everywhere here. And there was no cafe involved at all. 99% of the Argentinian web cafes were dirty, degenerate dens of Asmongold's bedroom-type rooms that only served as places to get sweaty and game. In one of our somewhat regular visits to a place like that, we saw a guy playing something that caught our eye. A dark elven character with shining armor in a gorgeous 3D environment, standing amidst a group of people with whom he seemed to be speaking with. In-game. It blew our fucking minds. What are you playing? Oh, just sharing some buffs with the bros before we go into the catacombs, you know what I mean? What? Is this a game? From then on, he ignored us, because we were clearly noobs. But the cafe owner was kind enough to help us create accounts and start playing, and here begins our journey. Lineage 2. On a private server that was run locally in our town. Oh, God. Apparently, the server that they were playing on was a side hustle of some guys that had a successful financial consulting company and was decently maintained and moderated. It had 1,000 concurrent players at any time. Lineage 2 Retail was at that time, and as far as I know still is, extremely grindy and predatory. The world was huge and still holds up to today's standards in terms of graphics and design. The gameplay, however, was, let's say, basic. Move by clicking. Oh god, it's click to move. Gross. Click to move instead of WASD. And all classes relied mostly on 1 to 3 abilities for their rotation. There were quests, but only a couple that were worth doing. Leveling, of course, was done by grinding, and you would lose experience if you died. If you were persistent enough to reach max level, you could add a subclass to your character, which was like having multiple jobs in FF14. The private server where we started playing had 2 major differences. It was ×5, meaning you get 5 times the XP as on retail, which is actually fair, as in the endgame levels only difficult mobs give experience. Sometimes 0.01% of a level per enemy. Is that true, Lineage 2 gamers? Is that true? That's fucking gross. And had cumulative subclasses. That's a true. It was hell. Bros. Rough. Ugh. It had cumulative subclasses, which means that if you have multiple jobs on a character, instead of swapping between them at a town, you had all their skills all the time. This, of course, was giga broken. But there were some deviants who tried weird combos unsuccessfully. But in the endgame, you mostly met 2 types of characters. Mages, who combined the skills of a nuker, a tank, a healer, and a summoner. And archers, who combined classes that could self-buff physical attacks. On top of that, the server also had donations. For a somewhat fair amount of local currency, you could get a GM to teleport you to a private room and give you in-game money. The server was a fucking mess, my friends. And I would never, ever touch anything like this today. But we were young, we were poor, and we didn't know any better. And neither did the other thousands of players that were in it. And it was a beautiful clusterfuck of clown noises. For several years, if you walked into an internet cafe anywhere at any time, there was a high chance you would come across someone playing on this server. We were 15 to 16 years old, and our group consisted of Sullivan, who became my best friend when we started high school. He's the one that had most of our shared interests and values in common, and we would spend a lot of time together, either in-game or playing Yu-Gi-Oh! IRL. Classic. Case Cage, whom I met through Sully, a somewhat narcissistic and high-intensity guy that always tried to adopt an alpha Chad persona, enjoying sports and chasing girls more than the nerd stuff. We always had fun together, though. Nautilus. He went to a different school, but he ended up in our group anyway, because we constantly came across each other in the neighborhood where we lived. He was very positive, always with good intentions, and although he wasn't shy, he was very naive and innocent. He always brought up cute questions or stories that showed his lack of awareness and common sense. Night Scion, the latest addition to our group. What? No, I don't know why you're here. Hold on, my son is naked and telling me something. What? Yeah. Can you be quick? I'm doing a show. Right. So you're just hanging out here while they go to the riding lesson. Alright, that's all I needed to know. You can't play Fortnite right now. After I finish the show. Get out. Night Scion. Just trying to sneak in and play Fortnite is what's happening. The latest addition to our group. He was Nautilus's neighbor. We had seen him a couple of times in the street and one day simply invited him to hang out with us because he looked lonely. And he agreed. He was several years older than us and always appreciated that we took him in. Aw, because his life had been lonely and full of trauma. He lived alone with his mother, who was always working, and was part of the Umbanda religion, an old tradition that wasn't very accepted by our society. Googles. You Umbanda. It's a religion. And religion that, Umbanda is a religion that emerged in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in the 1920s, deriving largely from Spiritism. It also combines elements of Afro-Brazilian traditions like candomblé, as well as Roman Catholicism. There's no central authority in control of Umbanda, which is organized around autonomous places of worship, termed centros or terreiros, and is broadly divided between white Umbanda, which is close to Spiritism, and Africanized Umbanda. Umbanda is pretty cool. Yeah, first time I've ever heard that one. God's still watching. Yeah, we're not dodging God. We all started gaming together. At first only, of course, in the cafes, then at home, when we convinced our parents how important it was to have broadband at last. Those times were full of innocence and bliss. We spent a large amount of time together in school, and most of our free time outside was split between gathering in the local football field to play, either between us or other groups of friends, chilling at some place while playing football games on a PS2, playing board games, drinking a lot, going to clubs, which I personally didn't enjoy, but was going to miss possible new adventures with my friends, or, of course, playing Lineage 2. Inside the game, though, our progress was slow. We didn't care, because we were going at our own pace and having a great time. The server had so much life that it didn't matter if you were max level with all subclasses dealing in high politics or a noob arguing with strangers to whom belongs a farming spot. Everything seemed meaningful with what we were doing. We decided to make our own guild. At first, it was only for us, but after a while, we agreed that we would open recruitment to randos that we came across in the open world, and here begins the weirdness. One of the people we recruited was a woman that was like 10 or 15 years older than us. She was pretty cool and even came to meet us in person once, even if she lived in the opposite corner of our city. Curiously, there were no horniness nor creepy stuff. She was like an older sister for the group. She worked as a biology teacher in a school while finishing her university thesis and stopped playing soon after to focus on her studies. The last we knew from her is that she sent us a pic showing what she was doing for her thesis. She was holding the decapitated head of a wild hog in some jungle in another province. We declared her the metal mommy. Okay. That's metal as fuck, okay. One night, so, I mean, she's a biologist of some regard, so I assume some study of species is required for metal mommy. One night, Sullivan and I went to grind in Kruma Tower, a very large labyrinth with many rooms full of hard monsters. It was a great spot if you could get a group going, but very slow and dangerous if you were solo. Being just the two of us, we were taking it nice and steady until we came across two female dark elves that pulled more ads than they could handle. We, of course, being the brave white knights, jumped in to help. We spent the rest of the night leveling together, chatting, surprised the fact that they were actually girls, and decided to exchange MSN Messenger contacts. During the following months, Sully got into an e-relationship with one of them. They would talk and play together all the time, and eventually she introduced us to what would be our future alliance. Nice! My man got a date in a tunnel in Lineage 2 private server. Gangster. There were some strange occurrences, though. Uh-oh. Like inconsistencies in the details she would tell us about herself. All the time when Sully decided to call her for the first time for her birthday and was greeted by a male voice that told him she was too shy and wasn't prepared for the voice call yet. About a year after they started e-dating and he had refused to date any other girls that he had met in real life, thanks to a gossip from a mutual acquaintance in our alliance, we learned, of course, that she was actually a he. And also was way, way older than we were made to believe. It was really sad because Sully was dealing with a lot of teenage insecurities and had sent a lot of pictures of himself to her. / he. He was very upset. Weirdly, many years later, that dark elven imposter added me on social media as we had been friends in game. To this day, I'm still conflicted because he seems like actually a really good person that was and still is in a healthy relationship with another man. But I will never ever forget how he broke the spirit of my friend. Oh no. Not long after breaking up with the Dark Elf imposter, Sullivan began a second relationship. Oh, Sully, you chode. Sully, why? Sully, please. This time with a lady from Venezuela. I've been to Venezuela. Nice place. Well, it was. There was also that we also met in game while playing together. This time he made double sure to take precautions to avoid being bamboozled. He dated for a long time and I became her friend as well. Often third wheeling. He often asked my opinion about what to do with her. We were still in school, but they were already making plans of flying half the continent to meet in person. After a couple of years, he ended up breaking up with her when he finally met an IRL girl that he liked more. Thank God. 3 years of dating and never meeting. Bummer. Many years later, similar to previous, the girl from Venezuela contacted me on social media saying that she was now a somewhat successful lawyer and had money to come to Argentina to visit Sully. Even if she had a boyfriend in her country, she wanted to meet who this person was that she had dated for 2 years. I advised against it. Yeah, fuck that. I don't need that in my life. No, we're not. No, don't do that. Just stay away. Just say hi. Maybe a Zoom call, right? There's other ways. We don't need to do that. The Dark Elven Imposter and their friend had introduced us to their alliance, a group of guilds, and we joined. The leader of the alliance was Fartles, a lot of girls playing Lineage apparently, a girl of our age, and we melded in their community very well, interacting not only in game but also in social media. Case Cage immediately tried to seduce her, apparently without any success. However, we did get along very well with her, and all our group was invited to an IRL cinema night with the members of the alliance. So, we accepted. There was going to be around 30 of us, and we were all excited to see Pirates of the Caribbean 3 and then go out drinking. Okay. No, this could be fine. There's nothing wrong with meeting people IRL. I just did it twice in the last few weeks. It's always good fun. And I was amazed and very happy by the fact. It turned out that Fartles didn't live far from us, and now that she met us IRL, she started hanging with us more often. Be it for alliance stuff, going out in real life, or just chilling together. We all started to like her and welcomed her as a member of the group. One night, we were out at a club, and she told me she liked me. I asked her if she was sure, because Case Cage liked her and was more handsome. Dude. Are you turned on, ladies? Are you sure? Have you seen me? Whoa. Are you sure? I mean, take another look. All right? We got a profile going. Yeah? Are we okay? She said, fuck it. And kissed me and became my first ever girlfriend. Well played, that girl. Well played, you fucking idiot. Come here. Yeah, you fucking idiot. Well played, that girl. Well played. It did trigger a little drama between me and Case Cage, as he has been trying to date her for over a year and was pretty sure he was almost in. He called dibs, guys. He called dibs 12 months ago. So, like, that's it. Bro code. You can't go anywhere near. He's so close. He was really, really close. I knew I betrayed him. You did not betray him. There's no calling fucking dibs. All right. But at the same time, it wasn't like he was there. He was always bragging that he's courting like 5 different girls at the same time. Always for either horniness or bragging rights. And she did say that she only liked him as a friend anyway, and he came across as a bit of a creep. So he forgave me after a little while. Oh, bless his heart. Bless you, Case Cage, for such a forgiving personality. What a wonder. We dated for almost a year, and our relationship was defined by hanging with the group, of which she became a member and played a lot of games together. Well, there were differences. I just wanted to level and chill, but she was obsessed with guild politics. Nothing ruins a relationship more than different gamer goals. I'm a mythic raider. She's a pet battler. It was never meant to be. There's no way we could bridge that gap, my friends. There's no way. It's just, you know what I mean? It's a square peg, round hole. It's just never going to happen. The end game in Lineage 2 was castle sieges. There were about 7 castles in the game, and only one guild could have each. Twice per month, you could sign up as either an attacker or defender for each castle, and on the weekends, there would be giant sieges with hundreds, sometimes thousands of participants. The most powerful alliance of the server had a monopoly on all the castles, and we were part of the Resistance that struggled to steal something from them. There was a lot of plotting, conspiracies, bribes, betrayals, and whatnot, and the battles were laggy as hell, but they felt epic with so many players. Often I'd just go to her place on the weekends and assist her on her mother's PC during the sieges. I remember once when we were supposed to do something else, she spent hours telling me about what she did in-game during the week. And by the end, I was bored as fuck. She asked me what was wrong, and before I could reply, she replied for me. Let me guess. You want to talk about other things than Lineage. Well, I don't want to. Deal with it. Well, there it is. There it is. I'm only here to talk about Lineage, so either get on board or get out. Mike, that summarizes our relationship. I was still shy and dealing with my own insecurities, and she was assertive and obsessive and dominant. An example of this that I remember to this day was one day we were killing time at my house, waiting until the night when we were going to go out with the rest of the dudes. She was chatting with my sister about makeup while I was building a card castle. Alright. As soon as I laid the final piece on top, she breaks the conversation, jumps on top of it, and crushes my card castle. Alright. The accident itself wasn't a big deal, but it should shock me a bit. Why the fuck would you do that, I asked. So you can learn that life is shit and isn't fair, she replied. Well. Okay. I can fix her. To be honest, though, we did have our share of fun and good memories besides these weird ones. Once, when her guild began bleeding members, she tried to convince our IRL group to become more active in her wars. To do this, she offered to power level those that didn't have the 4 subclasses. And Nautilus said, fuck it, sure. So she did. She used a broken method that involved going into an endgame dungeon where killing even one mob solo was almost impossible, but using a character with 4 subclasses built specifically to power level people could do it. She capped him in a couple of days while multi-boxing his account, a process that should take months if playing alone. He said, oh great, thanks a lot, and never played with her again. It turned out in his naivety he didn't understand the terms. She didn't express properly that she wanted his loyalty in return, and since we were IRL friends and still poor in game, while she was a high roller, he thought she was just doing some kind of kind gesture for him. She was in the biggest rage of all time. She argued with him endlessly, and he told her to fuck off. Wars are for sweaty nerds. And she then gave me an ultimatum. Choose between him or her. I told her this was dumb as fuck. It all cooled down after a while, but it was the first of many cracks in our relationship. Another time, when using the same method to power level someone else, a guy from an enemy alliance passed by, killed her, and spawn camped her for a while. She asked for assistance in the alliance, and not one person replied. IRL, she had a full crying meltdown about how people don't respect everything she does for them. One of the members of her clan was a guy more than twice our age that regularly sent her IRL gifts like clothes and perfumes, telling her that doing so was his only way to cope with some kind of mortal illness that left him only 1 year to live. She said he's just an old friend that never did anything indecent, but after some years and him still being alive, I realized... He's still alive? This is a really long year that you've been dying for. It reminds me of when Ben was dying. He's like, is he still alive? I mean, shouldn't he be dead by now? But only after some years of him still being alive, I realized how creepy it was. I can't tell you what happened to this guy. These are all, as you can probably tell, these are all little like short stories mixed together. After a while, our group came across a golden opportunity. While we could play at home, it wasn't easy because either our internet or our PCs would dog. And because our parents didn't like us spending so much time playing video games instead of being out of the house playing video games. They weren't bothered at all with our in-person meetings and nightly activities as long as our grades were good, and they were. Night Scion had a solution. Before meeting us, he used to hang in a different internet cafe, one where the owner knew and liked him. He told us that on Saturdays after closing hours, he would lock himself in with his friends and spend the night chilling and gaming until the morning. Night Scion himself was there once or twice and told us that he could convince the owner to let us in as well. Surprisingly, the owner and his friends were in their 30s, while we were 16 to 17 by this point. An agreement was reached. We were allowed to stay in the internet cafe past closing if we managed to get written permission from our parents. This seemed like a big obstacle, but for some reason, we got our permissions rather easily, without lying, and so we started doing our Saturday night sleepovers at the cafe. The owner and his friends were really cool with us, and we often broke our gaming sessions to play Truco, an Argentinian card game like poker, between drinks. Their vices, however, outshined ours by miles. At the time, it wasn't rare for teenagers to start drinking at around age 15. But we were still shy to other kinds of vices. Even tobacco. In that cafe, however, we saw not just some drugs. We saw all the drugs. I will tell you the truth, though. We were wise enough to avoid them. Once, while we were doing our own thing, the owner stood in a corner, looking into a blank spot in the opposite wall, extremely intoxicated by who knows what, and then said, "Night, Scion. The guys and I will go around for a walk. You're in charge." Okay. They came back, lowered the metal curtain once again, and then a couple of minutes after, we just heard boom, 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 boom. It was around 3 a.m., and someone started hitting the metal curtain with a lot of force. It wasn't someone knocking to come in. It was more as if boulders were being smashed into it. Everyone inside armed themselves with chairs, and we came outside to see what's going on. It turns out a group of guys that was hanging in another internet cafe a couple blocks down the street saw that they came in and decided to start a internet cafe turf war. They were hurling rocks at us while we chased them with folding chairs as if they were swords. Most of them ran away when they saw that we were more people. But we managed to corner a guy who, seeing that he was surrounded by a group of drunk teenagers and another group of drugged men, immediately dropped his bravado and said it was just a prank. After intimidating him for a bit, he was let go. Unfortunately, nothing violent ever came of it. Another night, we came into the cafe with a couple of bottles of beer for the night, 15 minutes before closing hours, ready to chill for the night. And the owner, still in his composed persona, says, "Come on, guys. You know you can't drink here." To which immediately, Case Cage replies, "Are you fucking kidding me? I've seen more chalk powder here than in school. You gotta give a shit for some beer?" The owner chuckled and said, "Sure, come on in." Around us, the Lineage 2 server thrived. Every day, the forums were full of posts discussing alliance politics, ranting about siege results, people posting photos of how they met IRL, of weddings that had happened thanks to the community, of the biggest guild showing how they spent several $1,000s in one nights of drinks, of people telling random events like how they started using in-game slang IRL without realizing it, like telling someone to get stunned, noob, in a bar fight, enemy clans threatening each other and let's solve this IRL if you're so fucking brave because everyone lived so close to each other. The PvP tryhards would upload monthly video montages for the rest of us to download. Some people even made songs in local cumbia style about the game, and a lot more. We stopped playing shortly after school ended, and not long after it all started to wind down. People just went on to play other better things. Overall, it was like a honeymoon period that lasted several years, and it was beautiful. We were all noobs, both in-game and online interactions in general, and the feeling of learning how to thrive in the online environment while being young, with friends, and in a community fully emerged in our very specific local traditions made it magical. Unfortunately, Sully got sent to a different school for his last years, and we drifted apart. He always had an air of nostalgia on him, and even if he had his luck with IRL ladies afterwards, he started hanging more with other people than the rest of us. Case Cage always maintained his air of bravado, but was an intense quest to find somewhere. It was on an intense quest to find somewhere that was greater than himself where he could belong. First, it was ska music, and then the obsession with marijuana that should be legalized, even though I knew he couldn't smoke it because it made him sick. But shortly after, he made a 180-degree turn and became something else. This was still during our last couple of months together, and we tried to convince him to get out, but he became obsessed with ultra-right-wing ideas. One time I asked him if, besides all the talk, he actually experienced firsthand how it is in those circles, outside of internet forums. Like, have you ever actually been to one of their meetings? He said no, he wasn't allowed to go to any of the right-wing rallies because his mum wouldn't let him. Unlucky, I guess. Unlucky. Nightside moved with his mother to a different part of town that was really far away, and we never saw him again. Before he disappeared from social media, he seemed to be in a happy relationship with a girl he met in the circles of his credo. Of Nautilus, I know very little. In retrospect, I am a bit sad that I didn't value his happy nature more when we were together, but I hope he's fine and wish him the best. My relationship with Fartles lasted around 7 months, and I was the one to break up with her. At first, I was scared that maybe it wasn't worth a separation to deal with her anger, because with my lack of self-confidence, I wasn't sure I would be ever able to attract another girl again. But her personality became unbearable. I pulled the ripcord. I did meet her again in a different circle many years later. I was happy to see that she had changed and had a more balanced psyche as she had matured. We all drifted apart from one another, but thanks to that server, I met other people with whom I would have a lot more adventures and misadventures, some of whom I still consider my brothers to see regularly to this day. The years that came after have their own shares of drama, but that's for another time. I'm aware this isn't an actual story with an introduction, middle and end, and conflict and resolution, but a collection of small events. Nevertheless, I hope you all enjoyed it, and our adventures brought you a smile. In any case, thank you a lot for reading it and for filling my weeks with great content. Love you all and your audience from Team Argentina. I bid you good day. I love collections of mini-stories. They're good. I love collections of mini-stories. And thank you so much for sending in. And thank you to all our authors. From Jesus to the mean streets of Argentina, we've been on wonderful adventure yet again. And as I say this, another adventure begins. In just over 24 hours' time, I will be jetting my way to Sweden through Copenhagen, where we will be at the Race to World First. And the next drama time will be taking place from Sweden. It'll probably be a slightly different time than our usual for obvious reasons. But Race to World First begins in earnest next week. I will be there along with the rest of the crew to provide the best possible show we can for you. So I hope to see you on the Echo stream. I will be casting for Echo. And other than that, our normal stream times will be the same, if not earlier, because, of course, there's a time difference in the country I'm going to be in. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of drama time and the end of the show this week. I can't wait for next week. I'm super excited, even after all the traveling we've done in the last month. I've very rarely been home for the last 4 weeks or whatever, but it's going to be fun. See you all again. Bye, everybody. And now I should let my kid play Fortnite.